Hello everybody and welcome back to Big Dan's channel. I am of course as always Big Dan, and today I'm going to be reviewing Napoleon. I'll be honest with this one. Going into it, I did have higher expectations, especially hearing that it was Ridley Scott that did it. Yeah, it was a disappointment overall, I'd have to say. It wasn't a bad film in particular, but it was just okay at best, I'd say, really. There wasn't anything that made us go like wow, or that makes us want to give it a really, really high score like I have done some films this year. I can say the battles within the film are probably the biggest positive for it. They're very, very graphic and grim, and that did take us by surprise, and I was impressed by how Ridley Scott did here. But it's just the problem with it is that there's just, I don't know, I know you can't really change history, but it's like there isn't too many of these battles, and as I said, they're the main thing that pushed it forward. So, and the main thing that's keeping your score up, there's not a massive amount of. Obviously, it's gonna, naturally make me score a bit lower for it. I can say that as far as I can tell, it was fairly historically accurate. I don't know a massive amount about it, but I do know at least a little bit, I'd say. And from what I know, I'd say it was fairly accurate. As I said, the problems with it though is just some of the performances. Like, there's none bad or anything. They're all decent, but for example, Joaquin Phoenix within the film. I remember before I went to see it, I said no matter how well made it was, my big problem is that he just doesn't look like Napoleon. Like when you look at a portrait of Napoleon and that, it just doesn't look like him. And I struggled with it, and it's like because they didn't even try darkening his hair and his accent, he didn't even try changing it or anything. And there's only, I think, about 2 lines of French spoken in the entire film. That last one's not too big of a complaint for us because, it might get a bit annoying after a while and I can easily forgive it. But it's like, maybe a few more lines here and there and just, put the accents on it would at least improve it a bit. But yeah, and for him as well, because obviously the main thing I know him from, and I'm sure most of you will, is obviously Joker. It just felt like a lot more of a phoned in performance, and there was nothing that made us probably go sort of wow, like with this as I did in Joker, which is why I consider that, a far better film. The problem as well is the pacing to a degree, it's very mixed. I'd say the first half is very well paced, and I was surprised it was going as quick as it was when I check my watch every now and then just to see how far through as I usually do with films. I was like, wow, I'm really that far through already. But then by the time it got to the second half, it just dragged so much. And I think it's mainly because there was more of these battles within the first half, which, as I said, worked really well for the film. I couldn't with the second half really. It just wasn't that quick, and it just felt like a big sort of meaty second half that didn't really, that I just wanted to sort of get through to be able to log the film and say, yeah, I've watched it now. Though I will admit the last portion of it definitely brings back the first half sort of quick moving nature, and I think one of the main reasons is because that's when the Battle of Waterloo's shown. And I will admit that was a massive sort of epic scale battle, and it was a very solid way to end the film. And I'd say the film ended at about the right point, after he gets exiled to St. Helena. It's a pretty sensible place to end the film, really, isn't it? The end of it. And it was also thankfully in like epic scale battle, and that as it should be, because it was the end of his military career, because it was the one he lost. Another battle that I quite liked as well is the one from the trailer where there's the cannons getting shot onto the ice. That looked good to me from the trailer, and it does deliver, thankfully, that at least, and it is very solid there. Another problem I had with it is just the politics is all right in the film. It's not really offensively bad or massively good, and my head is going like, wow, this is great, and really investing this, because it's just not really something I'm too interested in when it comes to films, really. But again, it doesn't really lean either way for me. The big problem I had though is the sex scenes within the film. They don't do much. Like, they're just sort of thrown in there. I feel like they don't have much plot point, maybe one or two bits here and there, but they're very few and very far between. And I felt like it was just kind of thrown in for shock value. And it was just, I don't know, it was just like, wow, quick cut, you've now got the two of them having sex, and oh, and as well with it, it's so awkward to watch because it's just no, and it goes on for so long, and it's like there's some scenes within this film that are painfully short because of the editing within it, and it's like you could have made this longer. I'd say the film, I liked it overall, but I'd say the main reason it gets me likes is because, as I said, the battle scenes were very shocking to me, and I was surprised by them, and I was like, you know what, this has been really well done. But yeah, they're definitely the main thing, as I said, that pushed the film forward. And there was some, as I said, decent stuff with it. Like, as I said, while it was phoned in Joaquin Phoenix's performance, it was still decent, and as were the rest. But yeah, it had more problems than I'd have liked it to, and it was problems I didn't really expect to see going into it. I thought they would have been patched up if they did exist, but no, sadly they were still there. So overall, my final verdict for Napoleon is a 6 out of 10. I had to think long and hard about this one for whether it would be a 6 or a 7, and I was slightly considering a 7 for the end of it because I was thinking, you know what, maybe it could be enough to push it. But I looked at the other films I've seen this year at the cinema that I've given a 7, and I was like, you know what, these are definitely better than them. I'd say even the lowest down one that I gave a 7, I was like, you know what, it's better than this. So it had to stop at a 6, really. As I said, you can enjoy it. I'd say at least it is a very well made film, and it has got stuff worth watching in it. And I'd say it is still worth a watch. But yeah, it was a disappointment, unfortunately, and it could have been better. I was expecting maybe about an 8 or something like that. Like, for what it is, it was just very phoned in, and yeah, it just wasn't really anything like that. As I said, that made us go wow, or like felt particularly special or anything like that. If this is Ridley Scott's last film, because the fella's getting on and off, I hope it's not really, to be honest, because as I said, for who he is, it wouldn't really be a great way to go out. But yeah, if it is, oh well, really, I suppose. Even if it's something like Blade Runner 2099, I think it is, that they're making now, even if he's only executive producer on something like that or something, I would accept it. But yeah, hopefully it's not his last, as I said. And on that note, that's about all I've got to say about the film. Thank you guys for watching. If you like my videos, don't forget to press like and subscribe. And I'm out. Peace.